Hey guys, it's Isabella here, and today I'm going to be talking about a book that I finished actually today, like 20 minutes ago. And the book is I'm Not Okay with This by Charles Forsman. Yes, Charles Forsman. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm only doing this book talk because, okay, nope, let me rewind. This book took me about 15 minutes to read, and it's pretty it's pretty much a very short read, and I'm disappointed to say the least. I'm looking onto Goodreads right now and seeing what I rated this book, and I rated it 1 out of 5 stars. So I'm pretty salty about this book, to say the least. And yeah, where do I even start? The problem what is the problem? This whole book is the problem. I wish this book was never written. I wish it was never published. I'm so sorry. I hate saying that. I've never hated, well, okay, hate is a strong word. I dislike this book. I strongly dislike this book with a burning passion. Before I tell you why I read this book, it's just this isn't even like a proper book or a proper, what is it called? Graphic novel. I don't think this is a proper graphic novel because essentially the synopsis reads: Sydney appears to be a normal, rudderless, suburban 15-year-old freshman, but she harbors a secret that threatens to overwhelm her. Cartoonist Charles Forsman expertly channels teenage ennui, what the fuck is that word, while telling a powerful story about the intense and sometimes violent tug of war between trauma and control. Okay, so what really happens in this book, because the synopsis is incredibly incorrect, is it's about this girl, once again, named Sydney, and she's a freshman in high school, 15 years old. And she lives with her younger brother and mother. Her father died, and she's like, she has this weird telekinetic abilities, like controlling people with her brain. It doesn't even show that much of her powers in this book. Like, this book is roughly almost 200 pages, and we only see the powers like 4 or 5 times, and it's like killing people when she's doing it. Like, pops a person's head open, essentially. Like, I don't know. You'll have to. I don't even want to say you'll have to read it for yourself because, okay. Also, what happens is she's got a crush on her friend Dinah, who has a boyfriend. I don't even remember the boyfriend's name because he's that irrelevant to the story. And this isn't even a story. Like, okay, so basically what happens is at the very beginning of the story, her school counselor advises her to start doing diary entries in this journal that the counselor gives to Sydney. And Sydney's just like, okay, I'll do a few diary entries. And basically the story is her, like, it's her diary entries, and there are a few rough illustrations of what she's talking about in her diary entries. And it's not even like colors, like, it's black and white. Sure, it might supposed to give off, am I even speaking English at this point? Sure, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say, like, it's probably supposed to be giving off a depressing, like, moody tone, but, like, it's like, why? This isn't even, like, good. Like, I don't understand. Whatever. Okay, now getting to the reason why I decided to read this book. I decided to read this book because information was released about within a month ago, I'm pretty sure, that this book, get this, is being turned into a Netflix original TV series starring Wyatt Oleff and Sophia Lillis. Okay, I've discussed before, a few times before on my channel, that I love these two actors. I love Wyatt and Sophia so very much. I love their work on it. I love Sophia's work on the Nancy Drew movie, and I love Wyatt's work with the Marvel franchise and what they've both done individually along with what they've done together. in the acting business, right? Right. So, since I heard it was being based on this book right here, I was just like, oh, I should pick up the book, like, at my library and definitely give it a look. But, like, after reading this book, I desperately wish that the TV series is nothing like the book. Like, please be nothing like the book. Please be nothing like the book. Please be nothing like the book. Oh, I, like, took a break from filming for, like, 10 minutes so that I can, like, properly gather my thoughts so that I'm, like, not babbling about how shitty this book is. Instead, I'm going to actually explain why this book is trashy. Okay? Okay. I've already discussed how this book isn't even a proper book. It's just her diary entries with illustrations. Pretty crappy illustrations at that. But also, let me just say, okay, there's like there's only direct characterization. Like, if you look through this, it's too straightforward, I feel like. Like, okay, listen. Sydney is, like, narrating this, okay? So she just talks about, this is my friend Dinah, and this is, oh, okay, here's the problem, my major problem. She's talking about this guy friend of hers whom she occasionally fucks and smokes pot with, and his name, his name is Stan. Yeah, Stanley, Stan. And, like, they've known each other since they were little. And all that literally happens between the two of them is they have sex, they watch TV, they listen to music, smoke pot. There's, like, only two, maybe even one conversation between the two of them. And that's it. Like, I'll say that, like, only one good thing that came out of this friendship is that, like, Sydney says something along the lines of, like, oh, like, he's kind of, like, very awkward, and, like, he's kind of like a pinhead because he's, like, to all the other students in the high school, he's, like, a joke because, like, some jackass boys were just like, oh, like, there was a situation where they were just like, oh, go, like, eat that rock Twizzler that's on the ground right now, and Stan's like, oh, okay, and, like, eats a Twizzler off the ground, and, like, he looks like a fool to everybody else in the school. But, like, that's literally all we get from his character, and it's literally, like, the same thing with every other character. The only thing about relationships between characters, or the characters in general, is the relationship that is discussed briefly between Sydney and Sydney's dad and how the relationship worked out. She mentioned how her father was in Iraq? Yeah, he was in Iraq, and he left, like, Sydney's mom and her to go fight in the war. And he had very traumatic experiences while fighting, and he came back home with a lot of depression and anxiety, and Sydney keeps his dog tags, I think they're called. What the hell? I'm looking. It's very, like, whenever Sydney talks about any character or her relationship with a character, it's very brief. It's too short. I'm not getting enough information. Like, there needs to be more indirect characterization, I guess, is what needs to be said. And there needs to be more dialogue between characters. I just, in general, think that this book is way too short. Like, I need more information. I need more things to happen. It's too... Yeah. That, like, I would rather, like, have, like, I don't know, like, 3 books instead of 1. This wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. That's all I need to say about that. Also, I'm going to say this another time. This book took me 15, maybe even 10 minutes for me to read. With a proper graphic novel, like, I'm just going to, like, you know what? I'm going to do. Here's Amulet, the 7th book, Firelight, by Kazu Kabishi. This took me about an hour to read, Okay? This took me 15 minutes. This an hour and 30 minutes to an hour roughly is how long it should take to read a graphic novel, okay? Okay. I'd rather have a series than just this one book. But like I want to see how they turn this into a TV series. I'm very nervous about the TV series now that I'm actually thinking about it. Probably my biggest problem with this book is how they deal with teenage depression and anxiety and just mental disorders and issues with teenagers these days, right? So, the description says cartoonist Charles Forsman, and just a side note, it says he's the author of The End of the Fucking World, which was also turned to a Netflix series. I liked that very well. I still haven't read that book. I didn't know that it was based on a book until now reading the synopsis, which is interesting to me. I should also pick that one up, even though it's probably a trashy mess. But anyways, expertly channels teenage ennui through telling a powerful, story about the intense and sometimes violent tug of war between trauma and control. It's not insightful. It's not intense. It's not powerful. It's not a powerful story. It just isn't. Like, I completely understand what the experience of, like, this book deals with sex, with budding sexuality, with anxiety, with depression, with suicidal thoughts, and suicide. Spoiler, major spoiler, the story freaking ends by Sydney committing suicide. So, like, I get it. I'm 16. This girl's 15. I'm at the peak of, like, understanding these emotions. It's not written well at all. Like, oh my god, I've never been so annoyed about how a book is written ever. Like, I feel so bad trashing, but I need to trash. I need to be brutally honest. Okay, it's just like, when Sydney commits suicide, it's in her last diary entry. I'm gonna just quote it so that I can just, like, do that. Okay, Dear Diary. Dear Diary, I've made a decision. I'm going to die. I can only feel this buzzing in my head getting much worse. In every way I think about it, I just see me bringing pain to those around me. I don't want to be a selfish bitch. I know people say suicide is a selfish act, but really, the world will be a better place without me and my weird shit. I've decided to climb this mountain. That's a poetic place to do it, right? Though I didn't anticipate how tiring it would be. I'm so sweaty and gross. Anyway, tell my mom and little brother I love them. This isn't their fault. This is my gift to them. What? What? No. What? It's like, reading this, I was just like, this is glamorizing suicide and depression and suicidal thoughts. I have such a huge issue with that because there was a time in my life, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but there was a time in my life where I was very depressed and I had a lot of shit going on in my life, and I felt like suicide was the only decision. Like, I had such a hard time talking to other people, and I get that kind of feeling. But this isn't poetic. This isn't powerful. This is just, it's bland. You know, I'm tired of bland stories. I've read and seen so many things. I've read 13 Reasons Why. I've seen the TV series of 13 Reasons Why. I feel like, is there any other things dealing? Oh yeah, I've seen the Heathers. I've, like, all the things touching upon suicide and depression, right? I just feel like this isn't good at all. Just a note to every author that feels like writing something like this, like, if you're not sure whether you can write about this kind of topic, about very touchy subjects that not just teenagers, people young and old are facing these days, not just these days actually, and all time, like, if you're not sure about that, just don't write about it at all. Like, ask people, like, what was this feeling like? Why did you feel like you wanted to commit suicide? Why did you, like, what are these feelings? Like, tell me how, like, what's going on in your brain and stuff like that. Like, I felt like this author never wanted to ask, like, what was this situation like for you? Like, nothing meaningful actually happened in this story, which is like so sad, and it doesn't do any justice to the topic. I just hate the idea of glamorizing things like that. I'm just gonna say it as things like that instead of having to throw the words around like it's cool or whatever. Like, no, like, suicide isn't cool. Suicide isn't the only option. Like, I just feel like this isn't this. Yeah, okay, you get my point, hopefully. Yeah. Also, like, there's just. Okay, can I just, like, try and lighten the mood? And if I even can do that, there's a scene where Sydney is talking about how a new person is hired at the place that Sydney's mother works at. Her name is Ryan. She has purple hair, and Sydney gets a little tingles when she's around her. And Ryan gives her oral. Yeah, yeah, you heard me correctly. I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. Like, let's say this woman is like 30 years old. She's definitely over age, and like Sydney isn't like, okay, I'm probably gonna sound like, I can only imagine what you're thinking right now. Like, why? And then it's just like so bad. Like, there's literally no relationship there. There's nothing developed. There's just, I'm repeating myself. There's nothing, there's no solid bond between any of these characters except for like Sydney and her dad, and maybe Sydney and Dinah. Like, it huh, huh. I'm running my mouth too much. I'm running my guns at this point. Like, I'm beating a dead horse. Okay. Huh. Long story short, this is a pretty bad book, and I hate saying that. I've said this once, and I'm going to say it again. I've never disliked a book so much than I do now, and I pain. This is painful. I just hope that the TV series doesn't turn out to be much like the book, and yeah, I'm tired. I gotta go. Hope you guys liked this video. I hope you guys took something from this video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, social media is down below, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.